That's awesome. Yeah, definitely heading in the right direction for sure. Like, it's all about inspiring, the next generation because like I feel like in this day and age it's only gonna get tougher. And I feel like that's to like kind of like inform the youth about how situations are handled and how to, carry themselves through those types of situations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So now, on this podcast, I love to put our guests on the spot. So I'm gonna put you on the spot often and early. So brace yourself, Donnell.
All right, we'll try my best.
So now you were born in Baltimore, Maryland. Is that correct or no?
Yes, sir. I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland.
So now when people hear Baltimore, many of us we think of The Wire, that
Yeah.
HBO series. So how was Baltimore, Maryland for young Donnell growing up?
For me, I mean, it definitely wasn't the perfect childhood. I mean, I came from a family with two sisters, single mom. So my mom is like my rock. She's done everything she's possibly could and still doing up until this point, just to make sure that her family comes first. That was uh, that was her main purpose, and her main drive was to make sure that we had the best possible opportunities that we could have where we were living. So I mean, it definitely wasn't. I mean, she made the best of, the whole situation. I feel like for me, since I'm the third child, I was kind of the wild child. So I felt like she already had like two girls. She's like, yeah, it was like, just kind of like do whatever you want, but you got to figure kind of stuff out for yourself type of deal. So for me, like I was definitely a very shy, quiet kid, but like I feel like my imagination was just so large that I just continued to just do crazy things. Like I used to go to elementary schools and like do flips and like I mean even before I even went to school, I already knew how to do like backflips. So she was just
Oh
kind of
wow.
like, yeah, she was just like, what do I do? What do I do with this kid? Like he just keeps doing like flips and handstands around the house. Like I need to like fix. So that's kind of I guess since she saw that and like me just kept doing it at schools all the time, I was just known for that kid that just did backflips continuously all the time. So she basically is just like, you know what, I need to find somewhere where he can be safe and know how to honestly fall correctly.
Right. Safety first.
Yeah.
Now, as you were talking a little bit about that, it reminded me of now I was in eighth grade, and this is back in Detroit.
Okay.
Ran into a guy. I'm still cool with him now. Shout outs to Damian Williams. He was the first black kid in the neighborhood that I knew of that was into gymnastics.
Mhm.
And he had like a 40-inch vertical in eighth grade. He could actually dunk a basketball in eighth grade. Damien was like 5'8", 5'9" at the time.
Yeah.
And we were like, like where did you get your hots from? You mess around with ankle weights. He was like, nah, I do gymnastics. And we were like, gymnastics? It was
Yeah.
like something, it was like something completely foreign. Now, how did you get introduced to gymnastics in Baltimore?
So basically how I got introduced, I was going to this one facility. It was kind of like a rec gymnastics place where they had like other sports like soccer and baseball, like all indoor. It was called like Free State somewhere in Maryland. Actually, might be closed down now, but that was like the first official place where I went to do just like a couple classes, like and stuff like that. And then my mom kind of wasn't seeing the real progression of it as well as she kind of wanted to. She felt like there was definitely more to it because she used to watch gymnastics. She watched like the Olympics on TV, so she knows
Okay,
exactly like
okay.
kind of how that path should go. And she felt like that wasn't like the best place for me to like fully kind of grow as a gymnast. So my mom said one day one of her coworkers just introduced her to this club called Rebounders Gymnastics, where I basically grew up and kind of started my career at. And ever since then, it just kept going from there.
So you took it to the highest levels, pretty much.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. As far as you personally, did you follow gymnastics on TV? I know as far as like from the pros, one of the early gymnasts I remember on TV was Dominique Dawes.
Yeah.
You know, but and Vitaly Sherba, like names like that. But
Yeah.
uh, I didn't really follow gymnastics until like the Olympics. Only when
Yeah.
the Olympics came on, that's when I learned about Vitaly Sherba and Donnie Dawes and how some of these gymnasts had like certain routines or moves named after them.
Uh-huh.
Word on the street is you have a routine or move named after you. Break that down for me.
Yeah, I do. So usually when a gymnast gets their skill is named after you, it's in the FIG rule book for life. No one can really take it away from you. I'm trying to figure out, when did I compete that? I want to say I competed that skill in 2017 at a FIG certified World Cup event. So basically, the way you get the skill named after you, you have to do it at a World Cup event or at World Championships or Olympic Games. It has to be, like a world class event.
Stage.
Yeah, world class stage, exactly. So my skill is it's a triple pike somersault off of the rings. So after that, I was the first person to ever do that. Honestly, I haven't seen anyone do it since. I mean, it's that difficult, and in the skill book is worth an H, which is pretty like huge. So I guess
So
the
we're
category,
talking high risk, high reward.
exactly. So I think the highest skill level that you would see, it's worth an I. So you just keep going down till you get to A, and then like obviously A is probably like the easiest skills that you could possibly do. So it's like one letter below the I. So very, 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 very difficult.
Up there. Why do you think, Donnell, why do you think we don't see that many like people of color in the sport of gymnastics?
I mean, yeah. The only reason for that is it's just not. I feel as though it's not being shown enough. There's really not enough exposure in men's gymnastics, period. And like on top of that, like at the collegiate level, we had programs literally cut gymnastics. So it's like it's getting even harder for, honestly, men's gymnastics as a whole to like expand. As for the women, obviously, I mean
It's the opposite.
they're obviously doing fantastic, but like on the collegiate level, they have probably gymnastics programs in every bit of the country. So I feel like it's all about the exposure, but obviously, gymnastics is definitely not an easy sport to be in, like financially wise. It's very expensive sport. You can't just go outside and, get equipment and stuff like that. So it's a type of place where you kind of have to find exactly what type of place that has perfect, like great equipment, or at least safe enough for you to, get after what you want to do. So I feel like that's definitely why we don't see minorities in gymnastics as much as often. It's just a very expensive sport.
It is. Now, let's just say, like 15 years from now, you're long retired from the sport, Donnell, and they put you in charge of some kind of grassroots gymnastics program to develop the sport in the inner city. What are some of the steps that you would take in order to really bring the sport into the public schools, into the inner city? What are some of the steps that you would take?
I mean, definitely the first step would be to try to, kind of implement and get some of, gymnastics equipment into the schools, instead of, for gym class or something like that. That way they can literally be there at school. It's like, it's all free for them. They don't have to pay anything, but they get, somewhat of that experience of, this is like what gymnastics is about. This is how, you'll be able to do it if you want to go to an actual club gym and, you know, go do gymnastics. At least they'll be familiarized with having gymnastics around them if it's accessible. You know, it's all about having the equipment and the coaching accessible to those kids in the schools. So I feel like that would definitely be a very big help and a very big jump and a nice step in the right direction for sure.
And as you were describing that, I was thinking back to how the NBA set up like a Borders Without Basketball program. They did like an NBA Africa program, and they started building the courts in different parts of Africa, and they got kids in early, and it allows the kids to kind of not just do skills development, Donnell, but find the positions that they will excel at. Now, does that work the same way in gymnastics where like most gymnasts, they start off learning the basic fundamentals, but then they find certain events that they're more naturally inclined to excel at? Does it work that way in gymnastics?
Absolutely. I mean, in this day and age, we have so many specialists that are just doing only a couple of events, but it's all about having those bases, you know, at a young age, because you never know, like there's always room for improvement in gymnastics. Like sometimes you might have had a really bad event when you're a little kid, but now that's end up being your best event. So it's kind of all about like finding what skills and exactly that type of motivation you have for each event, and just kind of try to push each one to a level as to where they can all be equal. Because at the end of the day, like in gymnastics, to show that you are the best. I mean, as you said, really spots for individual spots, but I feel like for the youth, definitely should go for the all around, because at the end of the day, you never really know exactly what event you're going to excel at until like you get to the elite level.
And are there like certain body types, Donnell, that work well with certain events? Like if you're like someone with like a lot of upper body strength, you might do better with the rings. But if you're taller, you might do better at like maybe balance beam. Is that accurate or not?
Yeah, it definitely helps to just have like, you know, kind of like not too bulky of a body type, but not too slim or lean. But for those people that are pretty bulky, they're usually really good at rings and, you know, just power events.
Okay.
But for the slender body guys, they're usually really good at pommel horse, because they have like that long extension. They have a really nice body line. It's all about like showing how clean you could possibly be on each event. So I feel like those are definitely kind of how you differentiate. And if you kind of put those two body types together, then what do you have? You have an all-arounder. You know, you can basically do it.
Just picture that, you know, you're in PG County somewhere, and a young, a young man, a boy, 8 or 9 years old, walks up to you, to get your autograph, and he doesn't know much about gymnastics, and he kind of asks you like, some of like the benefits of gymnastics. What are some of like the selling points that you would share with that young boy or girl?
I mean, honestly, I would just share that, you know, gymnastics gives you total body awareness, but it's also a lot of discipline. Like once you get into the gymnastics world, you have to really be a great listener, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're always going to be a student of the game, like basically whatever it is that you do. And I feel like as though like gymnastics really kind of structured me into the person I am, because it really taught me how to be disciplined and, you know, make sure to keep your eyes focused on exactly what you do, because like once you stray away from it, it shows in your gymnastics. And like when it shows in your gymnastics, you're obviously going to be upset about it. So it's kind of like you got to find that balance of like, yeah, you can have fun and stuff, but also like, you know, when it's time to get down to it, you have to get down to it because it's going to show if you don't put the work in.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of putting the work in, what is the typical diet consist of for a gymnast at your level? Because we've had track and field Olympians on the show, and their diet is like super strict. So
Yeah.
for a world-class gymnast like yourself, what does a typical diet look like, minus a cheat day?
Honestly, all right. I'm one of like the weird ones that I don't have a diet at all. Like like gymnastics, literally, like honestly, gymnastics just burns up everything. We're doing so much stuff. It's basically like if you do all around, you do 6 events, and 6 events is literally like 6 different sports into one, if you think about it. So it's just like so much physical activity. But I mean, honestly, like everybody's kind of told me is like you're really like a genetic freak, and I'm at that point where I'm like, yeah, I kind of am, because like because for me some things come easier for me, way easier for me than someone else. So it's kind of like you have to find how to balance talent with uh actual training. And for me, like I definitely train my butt off, but I know there's a ton of people that train way harder than me that, you know, that can't get to this point. So I just feel like I'm definitely, you know, blessed to be in the skin I am. But, you know, the hard work never stops. You just got to keep going because there's endless possibilities of exactly what you can become once you really put that effort in and keep a laser focus.
Excellent, excellent. Great genetics definitely doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
And last question for you, Donnell, not to hold you up.
no worries, no worries.
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? What's the big picture looking like for you?
For me, I've always been somewhat of a guy that like loves art. I love fashion and stuff like that. I definitely can see myself being a coach as well because like for myself, I always want to get back. I have a great knowledge of the sport, and I feel like I can definitely help people benefit from my knowledge. But I definitely want to try to broaden my horizons because you know we're always more than just athletes, and I feel like people don't know that. Like we have other interests other than the sport that we're doing. So for me, I definitely want to get into a realm of, you know, clothing design or fashion wear, stuff like that. Uh, I love to design like on computers and stuff. So I like to make like logos and like other RC things. And if I could find a way to kind of bridge those two together, that'd be perfect, honestly.
Excellent, excellent. If you ever need a consultant, remember me. You know, being Ghanaian,
Oh yeah.
Ghanaians are known for the kente cloth, and
Oh yeah.
kente cloth patterns have been borrowed in a lot of different fashion pieces. You know, I really feel like there's a lot that can be done with the kente cloth pattern. So keep that in the back of your mind.
Oh
Once
yeah.
once you're done with winning your medals and all that, just remember you heard it here first with Heavy Brand Podcast.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let me know. I'm always down to design for sure.
Sir, well, Donnell, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You know, hop on a youth and mentorship podcast, Heavy Brand Podcast. We'll upload on our Facebook and Instagram
Awesome.
podcast page. I really want to thank you for taking your time and spending some words, sharing some words of wisdom with the young people. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. This is such a great honor to be here. You know, I'm always wanting to give back, and I'm trying to do it any way that I can. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I wanted to give a special thanks to Mrs. Brown as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Continue blessings.
Absolutely.